It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, Light Forex Social Trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.
Good morning. 27th of June 2019, 8 AM CET, Piotr here, and this is the pre-London Open live market coverage on Light Forex Global YouTube channel. How you doing, guys? Hopefully everything is alright. Let's start with risk warning, guys. Please bear in mind trading effects on margin carries a high level of risk, may not be suitable for all investors. You can sustain a loss of some or all initial investments, so please do not invest the money that you cannot afford to lose. Seek education, gain experience before risking real money. However, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Alright. So what we have? Good morning, Mark. Good morning. So what we have, generally speaking, very dovish Bank of Japan member. We have Boris Johnson trying to quote him. It is like chances of no deal Brexit are 1 million to 1. Watch out, pound this morning. As I mentioned, dovish Bank of Japan member. Let me remind his name. Wakatabe. So watch out dollar yen as well here ahead of the end of the first part of the year, ahead of the end of the second quarter, ahead of the end of the month, ahead of the G20. All right. We do know that President Trump is going to meet Chinese President Xi on Saturday at 3:30 British Summer Time, and meet Putin at 6 British Summer Time. So it's worth to remember to check the news services around late Saturday. It's gonna be worth to check it. What else, guys? When we are talking about the agenda, calendar, from the Euro perspective this time, for the whole day, we are going to get from different German states, we are going to get the piece of inflation data, and around the New York Open, we are going to have full report. This is the preliminary German CPI report. At 2:30 p.m. CET, we do have US GDP, and here on Light Forex Global YouTube channel, we are going to cover it live. So you are more than welcome to join me today for New York Open live market coverage here on Light Forex Global YouTube channel from 2 p.m. CET. And then at 4 p.m. CET, we are going to get pending home sales as well. Okay. The FX is not that busy. Even we are approaching really very significant period of time. So we are going to start today's morning meeting a little bit different way, and we will start with oil. Alright, so what we discussed with oil. First thing first, latest data, the private API as well as yesterday official EEA. Both were positive from the bull's perspective, right? So that was the case. Why the heck we have this upper shadow? We discussed it yesterday, right? We discussed it yesterday that for the big guys who are buying down towards 53, for example, right? The good news when the street wants to buy more oil, it's a good excuse to take some profits, as they have a liquidity, they have the opposite side, right? That's what we discussed yesterday, especially that there was a very nice level. We took some stops and we saw the rejection. But from my perspective, I've been waiting for a little bit higher levels because of this falling trend line we have here, right? Because if you remember educational webinar, or if you remember previous meetings, usually where we have such a setup, where we have exactly touch to the pip, to the point, to the cent, right? It's gonna work as a magnet in the future, meaning that if we are going to see rejection right now, like this, then the market will get back into that line, right? So what I'm waiting for, and I cannot rule it out, what I'm waiting for, that's what we were trying to visualize yesterday, right here on the oil. I'm waiting for attempt to break higher, even through yesterday high, and I would like to see that during the London session, or at the very beginning of the New York session. Then I would like to see the rejection towards the end of the day. So something similar what we've seen yesterday, right? With upper shadow, right? So I want to see attempt to break the line with rejection. Then I know where is supply. And in that case, would be great if we can get higher, all right, towards 60, 50, 61, okay? 60, 50, 61. Now, from the bull's perspective, because we discussed the bear's perspective, right? Now let's discuss bull's perspective. In that case, we have logical reaction at the trend line, right? Because we need 2 points to have a possibility to draw the trend line. All right? We have to have 2 points to have a possibility to draw the trend line. Then, when we have a third approach, usually we are going to see some kind of the action reaction around the trend line, right? So now from the bull's perspective, we hit that level. I would expect some pullback. Now, where the demand might be, right? I think because of what we have, to the left here, right? I see possible pullback towards 57. The same what we have here, right? And eventually strong move to the upside, and this time moving higher towards 64, 20, 65. So that's the bull's perspective. Pullback from here, invitations for sellers, and strong rally, right? So we have scenarios for both bulls and bears here on oil market. So let's have a look what we have. Let's have a look what we have from the gold perspective. Interesting things are going on here as well, same as on oil. Let's start from the higher time frame. All right. Monthly chart. We are going to try to get back with more details during the New York live market coverage, right? There is still some space from the bull's perspective. There is still some space from bull's perspective to try to hit more stops, right? The reaction right now is within the very psychological level. Because it's a monthly chart, we have to switch to the red color, right? The central banks right very scary right now, I'm pretty sure. And if we are manage to go this few dollars higher, right? Based on this 1-to-1 maybe, right? So we are talking about 1,500, and that's the psychological level in my opinion. It's not only level, it's also what we've seen on the chart to the left. From here, we had this rally towards all-time high. So not here. I think we are going to see higher levels, right? Maybe after G20, some spike to the upside. But that's how I see the gold from the higher time frame, right? We might see upper shadow at the end of this month. We might see attempt to rally next month and then another upper shadow, and then eventually some kind of the sell-off. So let's switch lower. Weekly, and there is some kind of the reaction. So previous week strong rally breakout, that's the important thing. We witnessed the breakout, right? We hit supply based on the higher time frame, and the weekly, just the reminder, the weekly we have the supply over here. That's what we discussed yesterday, and that's what we hit exactly to the cent for now. Okay, so between those two red lines, inside we have a blue box, right? So meaning that we have supply based on the monthly, we have possible supply based on the weekly as well, right? So now, because we are creating such a big upper shadow, still 2 days to go, so I'm not gonna be surprised within the next week or two or even 3 that we are going to retest the breakout point, right? That we are going to retest the breakout point, and that's gonna be very important. We are going to get the very important answer, right? During the retest. If we are going to hold and bulls are gonna be able to run and retest 1,500, right? Or that's gonna be the failure. We are going to move lower, retest, and continue to the downside. So right now, from the weekly perspective, if you can see what we have here, so current level 1,400, we are in the middle of the nowhere, halfway towards the supply, halfway towards possible demand. So let's switch to the daily here on gold, right? And taking into the consideration just the bodies without the shadows, so there is an engulf yesterday, right? With shadows, even worse, because we closed yesterday below Tuesday low. So today during the Tokyo session, as you can see, what happened? The low, Tuesday low, was tested immediately and rejected for now. Even worse, we closed below the high from 21st of June. So few, from the daily chart perspective, few signs that we might see a little bit deeper pullback. So that's what I've been talking about based on the weekly. We might see retest of the broken levels. So if you are a bull, you don't want to chase the prices here, probably. Okay? You don't want to chase the prices here on gold. 1360. That's what we discussed yesterday as well. So that's how gold looks like. Indices. Very, very interesting situation right now, because again, I have to repeat myself. The specific time right now, right? Half year, end of the quarter, end of the month, possible rebalancing, possible window dressing, and then G20 over the weekend. We discussed what happened previously, right? We discussed what happened previously. Is it going to be the same this time? Well, we'll see. Now, we have 2 working days toward the end of the June, right? And we were discussing Nasdaq. I don't wanna to influence anyone, right? Because everyone has to do his own analysis. But I'm a little bit bearish here. But I do understand one thing. I like what we've seen previous week, especially the upper shadow, right? So we have immediately reaction. We have a pullback. But right now we found the support. There is a demand based on what we've seen 2 weeks ago at the high, right? From the 2 weeks ago. And that's where bulls are trying to take over, right? So we have some kind of the fight because of this possible over under from the bear's perspective. All right? But still, because of where we are based on the time and possible window dressing, positive expectations from G20 maybe or whatever, ease tensions between US and China, the guys may try to make the window dressing, pushing prices higher. So in that case, what we were discussing yesterday, the new high on Nasdaq cannot be ruled out towards 8,000, 8,050. And in that case, I would like to see rally above this trend line and then rejection. All right? Then some kind of the retest maybe and Niagara Falls. But I do understand, and we were joking, but it might not be a joke at some point. We were discussing this. It's very, very similar setup here on Nasdaq, like what we have on DJ or S&P. And as far as I remember, yesterday we were discussing based on S&P probably. I do understand what may happen here, because it might be some kind of the very long view. Yes, Mer. It might be some kind of the cup and handle here. All right. So I do understand that once we are going to, I do expect that with the third approach, some kind of the reaction we are going to see. But I do understand there is not enough space here to show where we might go eventually, like 10,000 on Nasdaq, and you know, it's a free market. So we might see that. Anyway, in that case, we need to see the breakdown. Probably we are going to test not once, but 2 or 3 times. And then we will see strong and fast. That's how I see the thing. It's gonna be very, very fast, Riley. And I do understand that's the possibility, right? I'm a little bit bearish right now, or more than a little bit, but I do understand what may happen here. We will get back into the indices during the afternoon meeting when we are going to cover US GDP. Let me make the cleanings, some cleanings here on the Nasdaq. Just one European. We were discussing DAX yesterday. So right now, let's have a look what we have on CAC 40 here. Because I like this from the short side as well, based on what is going on in France and with President Macron. So huge upper shadow on the weekly and within the very logical zone, right? Because that's possible supply, right? That's possible over under setup here as well. Okay, now similar to what we discussed with Nasdaq, I do understand that because of the huge market manipulation, window dressing and G20 expectations, we might see a little bit higher levels. And that I do have, if you remember, latest educational webinar from this Tuesday, from the Tuesday we had 2 days ago, we were discussing that sometimes market is doing, fast, right? So we have unfinished businesses, and I do understand that here we might see a little bit higher levels. We might clean more stops, and we might see here, based on this swing high over here on the weekly, we might see levels closer to 5,650 even, right? I do understand, but here I like what is going on. We close the gap, upper shadow. We will see. Of course, the European guys will follow what is going on in US, but basically, if we are talking about the Europe, yesterday we spoke about the DAX, but I think from the bear's perspective, it might be the case with the CAC 40 here, right? So what we have from the daily perspective, upper shadows, plenty of upper shadows, so looks like supply is quite active. And from the daily chart, right? From this daily chart perspective, what we need to see daily close below these levels, right? 5,470, 5,430. So it's a 40-point range, and we, from the bear's perspective, we need to, as soon as possible, get back below these levels. All right, so we discussed gold, we discussed oil indices. So let's check what is going on majors. FX side this time. Euro was trying to get back above the weekly open yesterday. Bulls failed, so still we've got the chance to trade this outside day we've seen on Tuesday after bullard turnaround, right? So from that perspective, what I've been waiting yesterday, again, similar to, I've been waiting that market will try to create this swing high, so we are going to hit the 1404, still something in between 1405, 1420, that's what I'm waiting for from the short perspective, short setup perspective, right? Now, because of where we are here compared to 20th of March, especially the opening and low, right? So because of this breakout to the upside, what we're trying to hold right now is these levels, right? So we are again trapped a little bit with downside bias, I would say, because of where we are compared to the weekly open, but still that's the last line from the bull's perspective. That's what we are trying to hold. So yesterday lower shadow, day before lower shadow, even with the outside day, but lower shadow towards the end of the session, bulls were able to push prices a little bit higher, right? I think we might see some kind of the higher volatility today because of this preliminary Germany CPI. So watch out carefully for the details from the particular states, right? It might be market mover, right? But anyway, below 1340, then we have 113, 1280 as the next possible demand. Supply, no change in my opinion, something in between 1405, 1420 on euro dollar. Pound. I'm going to watch the pound today very carefully because of this Boris Johnson's comments, and I don't know. Yeah, we might see the spike, right? So algo, based on the algo, we might see the spike when we are going to see more comments from the Boris Johnson side, right? But I think market may want to use it as a good opportunity to try to short the pound. I'm not sure if market is taking seriously Boris Johnson's comments. So yeah, let's wait and see what might happen here from the pound perspective. Now, we have strong rejection after the attempt to go higher, right? So we had the outside day on Tuesday as well here, right? But we are trying to hold the important levels, and that's one of the reasons we saw yesterday attempt to rally, right? And we may try to create swing low over here based on the Tuesday low, yesterday low, and what is going on today. On the other hand, because of this outside day, we have possible supply based on the price action from Monday. So similar situation to what we have on euro dollar. We are trading below the weekly open here on the pound, right? Bulls are looking for demand based on based on that range. All right, so we are trying to find a support based on that range, but bears will try to take the advantage of the failure we've seen on Tuesday, and probably will try to go below 2670, and if that's the case, it might open the way towards the low we've seen a combination of 17th of June and 18th of June, and we might try to work with this swing low. Especially we might try to finish the business at some point, maybe beginning of July, right? But first thing first, bulls are trying to hold current levels from the swing low perspective, right? And yeah, depends on what's going to happen, what we are going to get from Boris Johnson, maybe from the something related more to the Brexit. We'll see. Yes, sir. That's how it works. Short term, let's switch to the intraday chart. What we have here, right? That was the failure over here. That was the failure over here. That was also the break to the new high from here. So we have some possibility of creation over under, right? So I would like to see the spike higher towards 2750, and from my perspective that would be much, I would feel myself more comfortable trying to fade the rally, right? From the bulls perspective, we are trying to hold this intraday possible demand based on what we've seen here, and that's what they're trying to hold right now, as we can see as we speak. Okay, so a little bit higher levels from here still possible. From the bulls perspective, from intraday bulls perspective, still I think that this latest weakness, because we've seen some weakness below, but it was tested and consumed, this one has not been tested, and I truly believe that if we are going to see some kind of the rally, we might see move down towards 26, 25.90, and that's where I may try to take the advantage of from the long perspective, right? From the long side perspective. Then we might see retest of the broken level. Well, that would be enough. So that's how the pound looks like, and finally dollar yen, and here That's the Bank of Japan member dovish comment, push dollar yen higher, and we discussed yesterday carefully and with details dollar yen, and right now, if you remember yesterday meeting, where we are and what we are testing, we are testing the significant supply right? We are testing this significant supply. I think that we are going to hit these stops. All right. And something closer to 108.25, it's worth to watch, what's worth to observe, right? From the conservative perspective, if you're a conservative bear, for example, what was the break here? You may want to the latest here and here. So looks like the base of this I'm not that happy with this line. No, I'm not gonna to mess up with trend line here. So watching carefully. The thing is, if you are a bear, the thing is that you have to be careful because we are hitting quite strong supply and there is no huge rejection yet. So that's worth to have in mind, right? In case of the break to the upside, we may get back inside the old range. In that case, we might revisit 109. Okay. In case of reaction here, first possible demand around the daily open and around Monday high, we are talking in between 107.70, 107.50. All right. Actually, that's it from me this morning. Just a reminder, 2 p.m. CET today, we start New York Open live market coverage, and today we are going to cover and we are going to watch the reaction based on what we are going to get. We have US GDP number later today. It's a final one, not necessarily has to be market mover, but you know, it might be good excuse because some guys, they know what they want to do, then before they will do that, they have to have good excuse from the media perspective, right? So then the media can easily explain to the street what has happened. Right? Okay, guys, that was my pleasure as usual. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Mer. Thank you very much. Have a great London session. Don't be trapped, and see you again around New York Open. Have a good one. Goodbye.